Here's the little bike in the shop in a state of disassembly. I have the bike up on a motorcycle jack, just high enough for the center stand to clear the floor so it can be removed. The center stand, or the motorcycle jack, does a good job, but it's a little wobbly. So I have to stabilize the bike. There's 568 pounds and I don't want it to fall on me. So we'll go over to the other side here and have a look. And here we go. And here's a 2-inch furring strip lashed to the frame, the other end clamped into my bench vise. That holds it steadily enough to protect me and the motorcycle. And I'll reach up here and get a hold of the left handlebar and give it a shake, and everything looks quite sturdy. This is a stressed engine type of frame, so the engine and transmission actually become part of the frame. The bolt I just touched there is where the rear frame bolts right to the transmission, so that'll have to come out. And then up ahead of there are the bell housing bolts that hold the transmission to the engine. Here we see the bell housing with the transmission removed, and note the 2 slider bolts. These are made from 8mm bolts by grinding the heads off. This causes the transmission to come off exactly in a straight line toward the rear, so it won't bend the rather fragile clutch pushrod, which we'll see up here on the workbench in a moment. There's the pushrod, that thin rod sticking out, and there is the main shaft spline, which is the first thing we want to inspect. There'll be a still picture here. There it is, showing a good sharp close-up. It's quite grimy, but it's also in excellent condition. Here's a view of the whole transmission. Nice little 30-pound package and very easy to handle. Cleaning the splines is a lot like brushing your teeth. Just brush longitudinally to get the grime out. Then we're going to put this stuff, Staberog's NBU 30 lube, impressively expensive stuff, $24 for this little vial of it. And it will go on all the splines. It's the stuff recommended by Chris Harris. Here I'm putting it on with an acid swab, again brushing longitudinally. You don't want an accumulation of the lubricant in the grooves of the spline. If you get too much of this stuff in there, it's liable to get on the clutch disc. That'll either cause grabbing or slipping, both undesirable. So rotate it and brush it quite a bit. You want a good contact between the grease and the surface. So give it a good brushing, rub it in there so there aren't any slick spots or air bubbles underneath it. That's looking pretty good. The next thing we're going to have a look at is the inner spline in the clutch disc, see what condition it's in. Here's a still of it, and these splines too are in excellent condition. Very nice with 45,000 miles on the motorcycle. Now before we can put it together, there's the matter of this oil seal boot that goes over the back end of the clutch push rod, where the lever works against it. There's the new boot installed. The old one you saw was all cracked up. I've tied the lever down with a piece of string there because there's a spring underneath the boot which would bear out against it if the clutch release lever didn't hold it down. This holds everything tight. I'll cut the string off when I put the transmission in and reconnect the clutch cable. Now there's there's the little hose clamp that goes on the boot. Then there's the tail shaft, sometimes called the output shaft. There's a still of it. It's cleaned up now. And splines there are also in excellent condition. I'll goop these up with Staberog's before I put the drive shaft back on it. Here's the clutch release lever again, and the boot is completely installed, snugged down with its hose clamp. Now we're ready to go together. Just have to put Staberog's on the final drive spline. Here it is. You'll notice it's pretty generously gooped up. An excess of lube here can't get into any mischief, so I put lots on, and also do the inside splines at both ends of the drive shaft. With everything coated, and here I've got the swing arm back in. With everything coated, there's nothing to do but bolt it back together. So that's all.